It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. The show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, these are the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Look, Campanaro and Tomkovich, knock out your legal problem. Show's also being brought to you in part by my friends down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you like cool people to hang with, drink specials all the time, live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights, and fantastic food to stuff your face with, well, then you're going to love the Halftime Bar and Grill. Give them a call for directions or reservations, 518-792-4869, 518-792-4869. Busy show scheduled for today. First and foremost, let's address the streaming issues, okay? We are going through some growing pains with the new stream, which is actually being handled by YouTube. Now, it's a much better quality stream and everything else. However, we got some growing pains. So today, we actually are experimenting with both streams. So if you're watching live, you are getting, right now, the Ustream stream, which is the one we're trying to toss in the can, because we've had so many problems with it, freezing and locking things up. So if you're watching live right now on BillyCBoxing.com, be ready to lose the stream. Now, here's the deal. If you lose it, it will come back within 3 to 6 minutes, so just hang tight. Now, if you want to check out the other stream, go on to our YouTube page, youtube.com/BillyCBoxing. And under events, there's, you got all the videos there, and then along the top, it'll say events or something. Click that, and you'll see an icon that says live. Let me know how that's looking. We see now Chatty's saying that the YouTube's not working. I don't think the YouTube's working either, so I don't know what the hell's going on with that. But anyway, we're up and running, and I want to apologize that for not having a backup yesterday. So a lot of the YouTubers and some of the other people that don't have the premium podcast, you didn't get to see a show yesterday. So I apologize for that. But all the premium podcast subscribers, well, you guys got the show. So, hey, there's another reason why you should spend $15 a year. You know, if you Jones for the show, don't send me nasty emails saying, "Oh, where's the show, man? You ruined my day. I couldn't work out. Blah, blah, blah." Hey, become a premium podcast subscriber, and you always got it. Always. Take a minute to answer our poll question. Should professionals be allowed to compete in the Olympics? Vladimir Klitschko is trying to, get himself set to compete for another gold medal in the 2016 Olympics. My question is should pros be allowed? For the most part, other countries that don't have professional sports, professional leagues, all that kind of stuff, we are facing their pros, their best of the country that they have to offer. I personally, I voted yes. I think they should be allowed. So what do you think? Cast your vote. It's up on BillyCBoxing.com right now. The return of Emily Harney. That's right. Emily Harney, one of boxing's best photographers, will be joining us in a little bit. She was a regular on this show once a week, and she's back. That's right. Emily will be chatting with us. We'll get her thoughts on the Saul Canelo Alvarez fight and Tyson Fury and some of the fights that are happening this week, because, by the way, we've got a lot of big fights going on this weekend, so we'll be chatting with her. We also have an interview set up with Alexandria Boyd. Now, Alexandria Boyd, she's the chief bottle washer, producer, writer, the whole nine of that new movie I've been telling you guys that's coming out. It's from, I guess they're filming it in England, but it's about a British Olympian boxer back in the World War World War One era. And it's a great story, and we're going to chat with her about the project and everything else. So she's going to be joining us a little bit later as well. Some programming note. Now, we were telling you guys last week that we started this week, that we will be doing a special Billy C's Mayweather Guerrero Fight Week show. But after being squashed, after it was squashed by the big cheeses at Fight Now TV, we are shifting gears. We are going to do a special week of Fight Week beginning Monday. However, it'll be only one show a day, and it will be this basically show, except we're running it at a different time. We're going to be running all next week from 5 to 7 p.m. 5 to 7 p.m. Next week. So I think it's 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 5:30 to is it 5? What the heck is it? 5:30 to 7. Yeah, so it's 5:30 to 7. Is it 5:30? It's 5:30 to 7, so it's going to be 5 to 7. Yeah, 5 to 7 next week. 5 to 7 is when we're going to be doing it. Fight Now is going to get us from 5:30 to 7, but you guys are going to have us from 5 to 7 p.m. next week, all week. So mark that one down. The show will be done every day. It's just going to be done at a different time. That's all it is there. Anyway. I got some stuff. Chatty Factory is in the chat room right now. He's asking about the emails. Yeah, I did read the emails yesterday, but unfortunately, if you're not a premium podcast subscriber like Hanging Fire is, you missed it. So I apologize for that. That's what I mean, man. It's worth $15 a year. Come on. Even if you only watch the show or listen to the show once, it's worth it. But, my man Chatty Factory had asked me a couple of weeks ago about an iron mask or dragon mask. It was referred to as both. And he stumbled across it during the Felix Trinidad Larry Barnes fight. And the Barnes corner used this iron mask instead of Enswell. Well, I reached out to our very own Henry Haskup and got his thoughts on it. Also, we did some research and stuff. And here's what I find, Chatty Factory. First of all, from what I understand, Barnes's corner had invented this mask. It was one of these things that they thought about. So the reason why there's not much about it is because they were the only ones to have used it. I don't know, honestly, if it was ever used again. I do know what it looked like and how it worked. Basically, it replaced the Enswell metal, the chunk of metal that they use for Enswell, and it was a whole metal mask. It was actually made out of aluminum, and it was fit to go right over Barnes's face. And what they did was they had this thing in the ice water, just like they would an Enswell tool. And in between rounds, they put this whole mask on his face and put some pressure on it to keep his whole face from swelling. Now, it also worked not only to prevent swelling, but also to revive the fighter because it was a shot of ice cold on the whole face. So it was pretty effective in that regard. Now, just some FYI for you. One of the flaws of this mask, and George Foreman, who happened to have been calling or was the ringside analyst for the fight, was that it hindered the fighter's breathing ability. There was two small nostril holes for the nostril and virtually none for the mouth. So when they put the mask on the fighter, he wasn't able to get the air intake that he was supposed to. And they kind of abandoned it. Now, George Foreman said he loved the idea. During the broadcast, he said he loved the idea, except he noticed that right off the bat. and maybe a redo of the design. They could have removed the nose and the mouth part so that the fighter could get that, suck in that air. But that's all I could find out for you, bro. So I hope that that answers your question, and I think in a nutshell, I don't know how effective it would be to put that whole mask on. I like the reviving part of it, but as far as the way the end swell works, the way they kind of move it and try to work that swelling out, it's hard to do that as the whole face. But for somebody that doesn't swell a lot, I think it would be good to keep everything in check. But for a guy that's known for swelling and cutting and stuff like that, I'm thinking that the old-fashioned end swell would be a better choice. Hey, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I got a couple of more emails to read. We got some news. We got Emily Harney coming up. We got Alexandra Boyd. We got a busy, busy show, man.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Riselli Enterprises. Riselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Riselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RiselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. I want to apologize again for our growing pains here. We're expanding pretty rapidly, and one of the things that we've found is that the current streaming company, Ustream, is just not working for us anymore. They keep choking out the bandwidth and shutting us down after a half hour or so, and then we got to reboot everything. So if you're watching live and you lose the show, hang tight. It will be back between 3 and 6 minutes. So hang tight, and we'll get it back. Now, on the flip side, we are working with a new streaming company. Actually, it's controlled by YouTube, and we just don't have everything right yet. It's up now, but it's not even working. So we're getting it. But today, fear not. We are going to have a backup of the show. Yesterday we did not, so only the premium podcast subscribers and the Fight Now viewers got to watch yesterday's show. So, hey, if you are Jones and you want to hear all the emails and everything else, you got to become a premium podcast subscriber. That's the way it is, man. Coming up in a little bit, Emily Harney returns to the show, and Alexandria Boyd, who's in charge of that movie we've been talking about. We'll be stopping by and telling us about that. But first, let's get a couple other emails out of the way. Manophonic says, on Tyson Fury versus Steve Cunningham, what a clown Fury is. He says, I was not impressed with his performance either. If he can get dropped by a guy who doesn't even have that high of a KO percentage at 200 pounds, God knows what Klitschko will do. Either one of them. He says he wouldn't have got up if David Haye would have connected. His KO of Cunningham was very suspect as well. He seemed to obscure Cunningham's vision with his forearm, so he couldn't see the punch coming, leaning on him all night. Fury should get his shot, then go away. Manophonics, I agree and I disagree. First of all, I agree with the fact that Tyson Fury is kind of a clown. It's just, it falls under the same thing as that what we've been saying a lot of times. These fighters of today, they don't know any other way to promote themselves other than the way, Muhammad Ali did. Talking smack, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, all those things. With that said, I kind of give him a pass on that. Now, when I look at, him, because, he does it in kind of a funny way, at least to me. But when I look at his skill set, and I'm a fan of Tyson Fury, I agree with you. And I hate to have to say this, but I, too, think David Haye would destroy Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury was exposed in a sense, not for the knockdown, because anybody can get dropped on their butt. Number one, that particular punch kind of bothered me that it dropped Tyson Fury because it was right on his forehead, typically not a spot, that knocks you off your feet for those flash knockdowns, it caught him flush. He wasn't off balance or anything like that. It was just bam, and down he went. Which makes me believe that a guy with way more punching power like David Haye would definitely knock out Tyson Fury. The problem with Fury that I see is that he's not that athletic. He's not athletic at all. I mean, his upper body looked good. It looked better than it ever has. I like the way he was delivering his punches. He looks like he's delivering his punches a little straighter. He still pulls that jab up from too low, in my opinion. But his waist down, his lower body, there's no movement there. There's no athleticism there. Those legs are like toothpicks. The chin is chinny. Klitschko, the only thing he's got going for him against Klitschko is the fact that both Klitschkos have become proficient with fighting the smaller man. And I think that Tyson Fury presents another problem presents a problem that the Klitschkos aren't used to, and that's a guy that's actually bigger than them. That's his only chance. But he may not get the chance if he chooses to fight David Haye. I think any fighter that's got movement and hand speed is going to present problems for Tyson Fury. So from that respect, I agree with you, Manophonics. Jamie Floor says, thank you for the shout-out, Billy C., unless you were referring to another person with my name. Probably not, Jamie Floor. I mean, if that's your name, that's your shout-out. So, and I guess he's referring to the fact that I read his email. Yeah, well, that's what we do on this show. We read emails. We give you guys a voice. As a matter of fact, we have a special show that's geared for that. Typically, it's on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so we'd love you to be part of that one. But all next week, as I mentioned earlier, in case you missed it, we will be broadcasting this show at a different time. We're going to be running 5 to 7 p.m. Next week. 5 to 7 p.m. next week, so mark that one down. But anyway, Jamie Floyd goes on to say, last time I checked, I'm the only one with this name, so I think it was for me. Yeah, it was. It was for you, Jamie Floyd. He says, well, anyways, keep up the good work. It seems like you were the first one on YouTube with a 2-hour segment on boxing. Yeah, we've been the first for a lot of things. with boxing, radio, and television. Unfortunately, we don't get the credit that we deserve, other than from you guys, the listeners and viewers, which is really all that matters to us. He says, well, I have when I have a couple of hours to kill, it's either time to play music or listen to your show. What do you mean, play music or listen to the show? Come on, Jamie Floor, you got to be listening to this show all the time, man. Don't be one of these part-time fans and viewers and stuff. Listen to it all the time. And I strongly suggest, Jamie, that you become a premium podcast subscriber. You know why? Because then you can, for $15 a year, you can get copies of all the shows. And they're in iPod or MP3 format, so you can listen to the show whenever you want. Driving to work, working out, even playing your music. You can throw the headset on and listen to us while you're doing your thing. So appreciate the shout-out from you, Jamie Floor, and keep up the good work watching and listening to our show. And finally, I got one more email. This one's from Alex T., the other Alex, and he says, well, the Fury fight was a good one. When he got decked, my whole neighborhood must have heard me screaming. He said all this talk about about frauds being exposed. He says Fury is a joke. As much as I don't like David Haye, he would destroy Tyson Fury. I know, that saddens me and pains me to admit that myself. He says, I don't even think it would be competitive. Haye could end that fight in the first round if he wanted to. The only thing that he's got going for him is he does know how to bully a fighter around. He knows how to use his height and weight. But I agree, I don't think he's got any defense, and I think David Haye's hand speed and freakish punch. Remember, David Haye's got 10 times the power that Steve Cunningham has. So he says that up jab he throws, whenever I see that, I think of Tyrell Biggs. He says it's useless if the opponent gets inside. A textbook jab can still be used during infighting, but that up jab is the only good from an arm's length away. He said, I heard B.J. Flores say it's a good punch because the opponent can't see it coming, and he's right to a degree. But the flaws that come with that punch far outnumber the advantages, in my opinion. This is Alex T's opinion. He says, not to mention the most obvious flaw, which is that the fighter throwing the up jab is trying to bring it back low, and he can be countered over the top with a right hand. Just ask Tyrell Biggs. Great point. He also says Naseem Richardson was 100% correct when he said Fury wins fights just because he's big. Drop him to 160 with that style, and we wouldn't even be talking about him. Well, first of all, I agree about that up jab that you're referring to. I said it. If you go back and listen to the Tyson Fury interviews we did, which are up under the hot interview section at BillyCBoxing.com, or if you go back and listen to any shows where we kind of talk about Tyson Fury, and I've been watching Tyson Fury since his third professional fight, that's been my hang-up with him. Now I have a couple of more, but that's been my main hang-up with him, was the way he delivers that jab. And I agree with the other Alex, with Alex T, because that is not a smart way to deliver a jab, especially when you're in the world-class level. So I agree with that 100%. Now, as far as Naseem Richardson's comment, I don't disagree with it, but I don't believe it's a valid comment because of what we say all the time about the Klitschkos. I say, and it's easy to say, well, this is what makes a fighter a fighter. Somebody made a point the other day, well, if Mike Tyson was 6'5", and he was, Klitschko size, he wouldn't be Mike Tyson. He wouldn't have the same style. Well, this is true. It's the same thing I said. Dax Khan is in the chat room, so I'm going to say it anyway. It's the same thing about Lennox Lewis. It's the same thing about Vladimir Klitschko. All these guys. If they were 160-pounders, they wouldn't be as effective. The size definitely has something to do with it. Listen, the difference between Fury and Lennox Lewis and of course the Klitschkos is that the Klitschkos and the Lennox Lewis are athletic. That's what makes them even more dangerous. Fury's not athletic. So he's just, all he has is his big size. But even if you take Klitschko and you put him at middleweight, you're not going to have a guy that's going to be as effective. He's got I'm talking about Vlad. He's got his jab and he's got power. So let's say he brings that with him to 160 pounds. He's not going to win fights with just a jab and power in the middleweight division. At 6'7" in the heavyweight division, he can, because he doesn't face fighters that know how to get underneath the jab. Lennox Lewis, he had speed, he had a jab, he had power, he had it all. But again, if you take that 6'6" frame away from him, you take that 245 pounds of size away from him, and you bring him down, and even if you keep him in a heavyweight at 6'1", he's not the same guy. He's just a regular heavyweight at 6'1". I would be shocked if his athleticism would mirror a Mike Tyson if he was the same size as Mike Tyson. And you bring him down smaller, and it's the same scenario. So yes, it's true that if you bring Tyson Fury as a middleweight, he's nothing. But a lot of these supersized guys, you can say that about. Now, when you look at a guy like Mike Tyson, he wasn't 6'4". He was 5'11". You lower him, you give him the same attributes he has, and you put him at middleweight, he's still effective because size wasn't one of his assets. You shrink Mike Tyson, keep his power, keep his same style and everything, and put him at a middleweight, put him at a welterweight, he's still going to be devastating. That's the difference, at least in my opinion. It's obvious, when you have that kind of stuff. When you have those guys that are, so big, when you have the Klitschko's, when you have the Lennox Lewis's, when you have the Tyson Furies, yes, their size is making a difference. But what separates the Lennox Lewis's from the Tyson Furies is that Lennox Lewis had an athletic ability. He had hand speed. He had solid legs. He was knocked out, but for the most part, he had a solid chin, and he was smart. He used his height to his advantage. I think Tyson Fury has become proficient in using his size to his advantage. He clearly knows how to lean on people and do a couple of things that are unorthodox, let's just say. But he doesn't have the athleticism of a Lennox Lewis or a Klitschko. So there's a big difference there. So I agree with a lot of the negativity surrounding Tyson Fury. I still like the guy, but I think that I think a lot of it was exposed. Hey, listen, man, we got our poll question up there. Should professional athletes be allowed to compete in the Olympics? And before you answer, consider this. Most other countries that don't have professional sports, we are facing their best athlete. So should our professional athletes be allowed to compete? Vladimir Klitschko wants to compete in the 2016 Olympics. Should he be allowed? Go cast your vote on BillyCBoxing.com. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When I come back, I got some news to talk about Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield in the same ring together. What do you think about that? Huh? Well, I'll talk about that and some other stuff in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you
wrong
to
speech.
leave.
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on tpsradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty tpsradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us on Fight Now. If you don't have Fight Now, you got to call your local television provider and tell them you want Fight Now. As a matter of fact, there's a specific way to say it. You know, you call them up and you ask them to add the Fight Now channel to your sports channel lineup. And many satellite and cable companies have it already, and they'll just add it, and you'll be all set. If they don't have it, they're going to say, we don't have the channel. So that's when you have to say these exact words, and I quote, well, I'd like to make a formal request for the Fight Now channel to be added to your sports channel lineup. Then they will put that in the computer because it has to be worded that way. And then you'll get the Fight Now channel quicker than you thought. So that's what we need you to do. Call your local television provider, whether it's satellite, dish, or cable. Tell them you want Fight Now. All the information about the channel can be found on their website, www.fightnow.com. Coming up in a little bit, we got Alexandria Boyd, and we're going to be chatting with her from England. That's right, she's going to be calling in from London. So, and then after that, at the break, at the next break, when we come back, Emily Harney will stop by and chat for a little bit. The return of Emily Harney. Can't wait to chat with her. She's was with us for a long time. She's one of boxing's best photographers. As a matter of fact, when you see those great action shots with the sweat and the blood and the nose and the teeth flying and everything, generally, if you look underneath, you'll see a photo by Emily Harney. She's one of the best. We'll be chatting with her a little bit later. But Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield got in the ring the other night. Yeah, but they didn't fight. They got in the ring to wave to the fans and everything. This took place in a small town in Kennesaw, Georgia, which is about a half hour outside of Atlanta. Now, why were they there? The two buddies, apparently they're, what is it? BFFs, best friends forever now. They're BFFs now. Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. I guess all it takes is to, nibble on somebody's ear once or twice and maybe spit out a chunk and become blood brothers. But Tyson and Evander Holyfield are good friends right now, and they were spotted at a amateur event the other day on Saturday. And Delgado Promotions, Paul Delgado, was a guy that, has been doing, small shows and stuff like that in the area. And he also does amateur shows. Now, what I got to give him credit for is he knew that Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson were going to be there. Most people thought Evander was going to be there. Oh, I'm leaving out a very important part. Evander's son, Evan Holyfield, he was making his amateur debut in the boxing ring. He wants to be just like Pops. And so that's what Evander was there for. But nobody was expecting him to come with a guest, and that guest especially being Mike Tyson, who actually was appearing at a venue in Atlanta the same night with his one-man show deal. The bottom line is that these two guys were friends. They hung out. They both cheered for Evan Holyfield, who actually won his first amateur bout. My thoughts on these two guys, well, first of all, my thought on Paul Delgado for keeping it quiet. You got to give him a lot of credit because he could have leaked it out that Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield were going to be there. He could have sold more tickets, got more people there, had some more press there, and it could have helped him promotionally, but he didn't. And, that shows me a lot about the guy. And, I'm not so sure some of these other so-called promoters would have been, that classy in respecting Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, who just wanted to show up there. And, yeah, they hung out with the fans and stuff, but it wasn't out of control. It wasn't, paparazzi everywhere. I mean, come on. When Mike Tyson goes someplace, especially if he's hanging out with Evander Holyfield, and you don't think people are going to be snapping shots and stuff? Come on. So I thought it was cool, and I thought it was cool that Paul Delgado kept it quiet. It was released yesterday. Everybody picked it up because of the reports that came out. And apparently Mike Tyson was cheering very loudly for Evan Holyfield, even louder than Papa Holyfield. And when it was all over, they hung out a little bit, and then Tyson went and did his show. So congratulations to Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield for being buddies now. I'm glad they buried whatever hatchet they had, and they got a lot of stuff to talk about. They have the fights. They have both their careers. They both can swap stories of how they pissed away $280 million apiece, and how they both had to claim bankruptcy, how they both lost everything. I mean, there's a lot of discussion they can go on. And they can laugh about it now because they're both doing pretty well. It was announced yesterday that Georgie Groves will be on the May 25th undercard of Carl Froch and Mikhail Kessler. We knew that he was going to fight on the card. I mean, he's been, ever since he moved over with the new promoter, we knew that he's been pretty busy. He's already fought twice under Matchroom Sports, and he's going to be on this undercard. But what we didn't know is who he was going to face. Well, it was announced yesterday that he's going to be taking on No Gonzalez Alcoba on May 25th. Alcoba's not a bad test for him. Groves is a guy that is on the fast track. People like him. He's exciting, and he's going to for sure get a title shot if he keeps winning. So we'll keep you posted on that. One other thing I wanted to mention before we any minute now, Alexandria is going to be calling in, but Javier Fortuna. Now it was a devastating knockout win the other night, last Friday, against Miguel Zemiduo. But one of the problems that circled the fight was the fact that Fortuna couldn't make weight. As a matter of fact, he was a little over a half a pound over when he got on the scale the second time, and they chose to forfeit the interim title that he had. Now his promoter and manager, Samson Lukowicz, said in a statement yesterday that Fortuna, yes, he had trouble making weight, and he feels that it was because he wasn't with his normal trainers. And, it's unfortunate that it cost Samson Lukowicz a lot of money, not only with the forfeiting $1,000 to Zemduo, but also the sanctioning fees and everything else that go along with the title fight. He said, but despite all of that, he doesn't regret not making this kid force himself to lose that extra little more than half a pound. He says this guy is going to stay in the featherweight division. He's going to campaign in the featherweight division. He's going to get a title shot very quickly, and he claims that not only is he going to be getting another shot, but he feels that he can knock out anybody in the featherweight division. So look for Fortuna to land a pretty big fight coming up soon. Give a shout out once more to everybody that's watching or listening live. Should you lose the stream, which could happen at any moment, please hang tight. You will get it back between 3 and 6 minutes. I apologize for that in advance, but unfortunately we got some growing pains going on with a couple of different streams that we are using. I see Alexandria is in the queue, so let me shift gears and get Alexandria Boyd on. I'll be back in a flash.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio with no worthy contenders. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel, and if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple, man. Pick up the phone and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, joining us, she's the bigwig, the producer, the writer, everything. We've been talking about this movie that's coming out, The Wilderness. It's about a British Olympian that took place 100 years ago. To tell us all about the project, Alexia Boyd joins us. Good morning, Alexia. Alexandra, I'm sorry. Alexandra, I don't know why I said Alexia. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I've been enjoying watching the stuff that you have on the Kickstart program. We put the link up on our website. But for all the viewers and listeners out there, tell us about the project, a little history, and where we got to go from here.
Well, as I'm sure most of your listeners know, that London had the Olympics last summer, and it was a huge triumph for the whole country, and especially the city. And prior to that, my producing partner was doing some work for the London Olympic Committee, and he found this story about Harry Mallin, who in 1920 and 1924 won gold medals boxing. And he trained at a boys' club called the Eton Manor Boys' Club, which was started by an old Etonian. I don't know if you know, Eton is a very prestigious school here, and this man came from a very privileged, educated background, but he made his life's work this boys' club in the East End, which is a very deprived area, and out of it came Harry Mallin. So we found this story, and we thought this story fitted in perfectly as a prequel to the Olympics, because every city, when they host the Olympics, they want to create some sort of legacy through sport for young people. And what it seemed nobody knew was that somebody had done that 100 years ago, right where the Olympic Park is. So we have developed the original story, the true story of Harry Mallin and Arthur Villiers, and I have written the screenplay and created, an epic drama that starts in 1912, takes the boys through the First World War, the effect that has on them when they come back and begin again their training to be champions, and it's one of those stories we love, that triumph over adversity. Every boxing movie has it. Rocky, the fighter, there's always something that guy, that boxer, that individual is fighting against. And sometimes it's just himself, and it all plays out in the story.
Well, Alexandria, you and I have talked in the past, and you're actually battling some fights about this film yourself. And one of the things you tried to do was try and get some support and everything. And you and I have talked, and it's weird because obviously I know a little more about the movie than some of my viewers and listeners, and I know that there's a lot of other things intertwined in it, not just boxing. There's a little piece of World War I in there. There's a love story in there. There's so many things that should entice people to go out and see it, not just boxing fans. But some of the things that I know that you're running into is the lack of support from the boxing community. Tell us about the stumbling blocks that you're dealing with there.
Well, it's the new way to communicate to the world now, and it's very much at everybody's fingertips, is Twitter and Facebook. And we have met a lot of professional boxers, a lot of amateur boxers, a lot of boxing fans. And I think I worked out for myself today is that every one of those boxing fans or boxers will go and see a boxing film, but if they were invited to spend the same cost of a ticket to invest in a development project for a film such as mine, It's a different mindset for some reason. And it's not like we're asking, it's a sponsored charity run. I have some amazing rewards, whether it's a T-shirt from the film, that's a smaller reward, or whether it's being invited to a premiere of the short film I'm going to make at BAFTA here in London, or a signed storyboard from the film, or an original DVD signed by myself. There are lots of ways we can say thank you. In these other crowdfunding campaigns, they have succeeded because thousands of people have donated a small amount, a tenner or 20 quid or dollars in the case of the American companies, American projects. And for some reason, even though I have connected to probably tens of thousands of boxing fans, most of the people that are supporting us are people who already know us. So we're sort of struggling a little bit with what that crossover is, what that tipping point is to get people to get involved. Because even if you're in the United States and you're listening to my voice, 18 months from now when the movie comes out, you go, I gave them a tenner. I remember her talking about that on that boxing show, But it's been an interesting journey. But we've had a lot of attention. I wouldn't have met you, Billy. Hey, there's a positive, right?
Hey, man, I've been telling the viewers and listeners, you got to check this chick out. I can't wait to meet her. I want to take her to lunch, So
what's she doing directing a boxing film? What does she know about boxing? Yeah, I know. You want to find out. So it's the inquiring minds.
Well, the thing is that I think we need as much stuff about boxing as possible, and I like the storyline that you have, and I honestly think it's a home run, But like I've told you in the past, the boxing fan is a strange bunch because it's a niche within a niche. You have life, then you have sports, then you have boxing within sports. And when I put my fan hat on, the boxing fan is the most taken advantage of fan there is. They have to pay, like at least here in the States, we have to pay to watch the good fights. I mean,
yes.
It's so anytime you're asking for money, people immediately put their blinders on. But you have such a great cause here, and I've been pointing that out over the last several weeks about if they, click the banner and the link to the Kickstart program that we have on our website, that indeed they could even get their name in the credits, right? Isn't it something that is as
right.
powerful as that?
And it is, and because once you've joined the Wilderness family, so to speak, we will bring you along on that journey. We will keep your email, we will keep your contact details, and you'll get newsletters, email newsletters with updates. Right now we're in pre-production. Now we just cast such and such an actor. Now we're shooting in the trenches. Now we're shooting the 1924 Paris Olympics. And you'll sort of get a one-on-one backstory about how a feature film is put together. And if you're passionate about boxing, you add into the mix, and it's a boxing feature film. I just think that's a fun thing to be part of. But maybe that's just me because it's my thing.
No. Hey, man, I've been interested in that in a long time. Now, are you a boxing fan? Are you a fan of the sport, or are you a temporary fan for this project?
I did not come to this project as a boxing fan, but I can say now that I have spoken to and walked a few steps in the path of a boxer by talking to them and learning to box myself, I might add. I'm a method director. I want to know what my actors are going through. It is the most extraordinary sport. It's everything from the controlled violence to the mindset of a boxer before he goes into the ring, to the ongoing pressure and focus on him on the lead up to a fight. I was at a press conference this morning for some professional fights that are happening on Saturday here at Wembley in London. And these guys, they're all sitting up there, cameras on them, answering questions from journalists. But really, they want to be in the gym training because the guy they sat next to, they have to fight on Saturday. And there's all this pressure, especially on these young Olympians, on these professional boxers, especially if they show any level of ability and championship. Once they start becoming champions, the whole dynamic changes. And I think it's very similar to actors. I've started my career, I was 30 years an actress in my industry, and I see it with my quote-unquote famous actor friends, the pressure on them to continue to talk about what they do, but at the same time have to be really good at what they do and really focused on it. And I see the challenges are very similar. So I think that's what keeps me drawn to boxing, as opposed to your question, which is, are you a boxing fan? And I will certainly continue to be a boxing fan now. I mean, I've been indoctrinated.
Well, that's good. We need all the fans we can get. Now, as far as the movie goes, and your quest to get some public funding from the Kickstart program, which is where the link is on our website. Tell me, where's the project going to go from now? I know this program is almost up. And,
yes.
I mean, was it contingent upon, was getting a good support, a big amount of support from this program contingent upon whether the project was going to go through, or do you have a plan B? I mean, are we going to see this movie no matter what?
Yes, we will certainly make the feature film no matter what. And that's a feature film that needs millions of dollars to complete, to start and complete. So the Kickstarter was a journey into crowdfunding to see a little bit what that was about from a marketing point of view. And we created, or I wrote this short film about the boxer in the ring and on the wilderness, as part of what I would create with the Kickstarter money. And we would that would have served as a screen test, which we will do anyway in the course of making the big film. But what has been, many projects, many exercises start off as one thing and they become, greater than the sum of their parts. And as I said, it has definitely raised awareness for the film. We're about to, in the filmmaking world, we're about to go to the Cannes Film Festival, which is a big market where people bring their projects to find funding and distribution and sales. So that's the next thing on our calendar in May. And then, my producing partner, John Pettigrew, and I, we just keep doing what we've been doing for the last 2 years, which is developing the project, meeting creatives, meeting with other producers, meeting with money people, meeting with boxers. It's an ongoing sort of, I like to call it a gestation period. None of these projects come out fully formed, so they're always growing in a very organic way. And I see it as a marathon instead of a sprint. I've just got to make sure I can make it through the wall that we hit. I can keep going until we start. First day of principal photography. That's what I got my eye on. That's my focus. That's the day I'll be in the ring, literally, in the ring with my actors, and in the ring with the money that we'll have to make the feature film.
Well, it sounds like you have a great attitude towards it, and it's refreshing. And my question: if everything goes well, when could we expect this film to hit the screens? I mean, is it a one-part thing? Are you going to do the short one first and then come back with the full length, or what's the time frame?
The time frame we would like to release globally, all over the world, on Remembrance Day 2014. So that's 11/11/2014, which is Veterans Day in the United States. It's Remembrance Day here in Europe, because we have such a big chunk of the film is about war and recovery from war. We thought that November the 11th would be an appropriate day. Next year here in the UK. In the UK, anyway, we're having a whole year of remembrance because it's the 100-year anniversary of the beginning of the First World War. So it sounds a little bit somber, but it will also be part of our dedication, or our remembrance, if you like, of heroes that have been lost.
Boxing has a parallel with the world wars and time of depression, really, because during those times, that's when boxing really thrived. So it's actually it is a good parallel for you to to go on. And I tell you, I'm so excited, chatting with you right now. It seems like you're sitting right next to me. You're in London, right?
I'm sitting in southeast London on my Skype on my computer, and isn't that just a marvelous way? We don't even have to rely on British Telecom, who to keep us connected. We can talk like this. It's great.
Well, if you've ever listened to my show, I get people complaining that I have Progresso soup cans as a phone system. So this is great. But I'm really looking forward to your project, and I really hope that you keep us in the loop. I know that this first leg was the Kickstart program, but as soon as you get to the next point, please keep me posted. I'd love to support it in any way I can.
Absolutely,
I love this kind of stuff.
and I'd love to come back and talk again about the progress we make as we go along, because this is just the first episode of a series.
Well, I hope to have you back soon, and I hope we can help in any small way. I tell you, because this means a lot, not only to the sport, but to all the fans, because I like the educational part. I know it's based on a true story, and that's really what a lot of our show is about. It's the historical aspect of the sport of boxing, and your project fits right in.
Well, thank you very much, Billy.
Well, listen, I look forward to hearing an update, and I look forward to having you back on the show.
I look forward to it too. Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's Alexandria Boyd, and she's in charge of this whole project, the Wilderness Project. So check it out. It's still up on the website, www.billycboxing.com. And I'll tell you what, she's gorgeous. I hope to meet her someday. I want to take her to lunch. Anyway, I got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And speaking of Fight Now, yesterday we had some streaming issues. And if you were watching on the Fight Now television channel, you wouldn't have had any problems. Fight Now had no issues. Either did our premium podcast subscribers. So consider becoming a premium podcast subscriber. It's only $15 a year. You get all of our content, even some of the specials, all of our specials, actually. And as far as the Fight Now television channel, listen, now's the time for you to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple, man. Pick up the phone and call. Now, we got some exact verbiage for you to use when you call your television provider. Now, first thing, you call them and you say, hey, I want to add the Fight Now television channel to our sports channel lineup. And depending upon who your service provider is, they're either going to be able to add it or they're going to tell you that they don't have it. And then at that point, you have to use these specific words. You have to say, well, I'd like to put in a formal request for the Fight Now channel to be added to my sports channel choices. And then the customer service representative will know where to go in the computer system, and we'll get that documented so that it'll expedite getting the Fight Now channel on your cable or satellite TV. So that's what you got to do to get Fight Now, and it's worth it because if you're watching the replay on YouTube or LDL TV or something like that, and you're watching the video replay, that is not the same video that you will see on YouTube. I mean, I'm sorry, on Fight Now. It's just not. Fight Now has a much better picture. It's got some other enhancements on it, so it makes your viewing pleasure a lot nicer. So make sure you take care of that and get that done. So anyway, interesting interview with Alexandria Boyd talking to us about that movie, The Wilderness. Looking forward to that for sure. And speaking about looking forward to joining us, it's kind of a blast from the past, but she had to go and pop out a kid or something. I don't know. Emily Harney joins us. What's up, man?
I had to go and pop out a kid.
Well,
that's so classy.
Well, I mean, come on, man. How you been, man? Good to have you back.
I'm great. Loving life. I was loving life before, but life is very different now. I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's gonna get much differenter. Is that a word? It's gonna get much more.
I don't know,
different.
but it seems fitting for being a parent.
Well, listen, let's talk boxing. Last weekend, we saw a pretty decent fight in Saul Canelo Alvarez taking on Austin Trout. I picked wrong. I thought Trout was going to dominate him. Not so much dominate, but I thought he would win. Now, there's been a lot of outcries for this fight, Emily. Some people didn't like the scoring and the judges and stuff, and just the comments are just another fight in Texas. My thoughts are this. I thought it was a close fight. I'm not going to argue with the decision. I think it could have gone either way. I mean, I thought it was close. I'm not going to use the word robbery, but I think because the scorecards were so out of whack, it really put a blemish on the performance from both fighters. What's your thoughts on the fight, on Alvarez, where he goes from here and all that happy stuff?
Well, I agree. I had picked Trout from the beginning. I thought he had a little bit better experience than Canelo, but, I also hadn't seen everything I thought I could from Canelo. He's a young fighter. He's mixed it up with, a few names, but not enough names in the way that Trout has. So I really thought that Trout, was going to take this fight. I didn't think it was going to be an easy fight for him. I knew Canelo was going to, certainly come for a war. But he outboxed Trout, and, there was no question that he was the busier, more active fighter. And I know, of course, there's always controversy when you have a fight in Texas. I personally would never want to fight in Texas. I know I've griped about it before. I'm not a huge fan of Lawrence Cole. And even before this fight had happened, people were already talking about that. How does this guy, ref fights when he's in charge of insurance? This is just such a, a mixed, business commodity. It's not, it's not okay. And I agree with people. So going into the fight, I thought, all right, we'll probably have a little controversy here either way. But, which way is Lawrence Cole going to go? You're south enough that he may want to go the Canelo route, or he may want to go the Trout route. But either case, whether there was controversy with the ref or controversy with the judging, I don't think that judge was off by that much. He's off by maybe a round, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Canelo is definitely the much busier fighter. And you're right, it does take away from the performance on both guys. But I think people get over it. You had another fight on that night that had a great knockout. So I think people will be able to move forward from that as long as you put a good name in front of Canelo the next time he fights.
It's funny you mentioned that about Lawrence Cole, and people also got to know that, his father's the commissioner of Texas. I mean, it's just so bizarre. But what bothered me more than that was everybody accepts it. Like the announcers were like, "Oh, well, you're not going to get a fair shake here," and and it's just like a matter of factly. And I just don't understand how people could still go. It's funny you say that Saul Alvarez controlled the action and was the busier fighter, because that's kind of what the argument is, that a lot of people feel that Trout was actually the busier fighter, throwing the jabs, chasing Canelo around. I think that Canelo landed the harder shots, and that's
that's just it. I think he landed more than Trout did. You that's the problem sometimes when you watch it at home or you're far up in the stands. People think the punches are landing.
Right.
And you go back to Ward Gotti too. People thought Mickey Ward won that fight. Well, if you were sitting where I am, you would have thought that too. I was up in the boondocks. I could have been sitting back in Massachusetts watching the fight, and thinking that he won the fight too, because he thought punches were landing and they really weren't. So, sometimes that's where the argument lays, is what landed and what didn't. And I think Canelo definitely landed the better shots, the bigger shots. And, sometimes that scores bigger and better points.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, also on Saturday, we saw Tyson Fury at Madison Square Garden. He fought Steve Cunningham. And, I've always been a Tyson Fury fan, Emily, but I think he was exposed, not just so much for the knockdown that he suffered, but also he seems very uncoordinated for a big dude, and I think that maybe he has a better chance at a Klitschko, but a guy like David Haye, who I can't stand anyway, and I hate it, believe me, it pains me to say this, but I think David Haye would actually destroy Tyson Fury. What's your thoughts on his performance, and where does he fit in the heavyweight division?
Well, first and foremost, I love that NBC is putting on boxing on a Saturday afternoon. I have more text messages and more Facebook messages from people saying, "Are you watching boxing right now? I can't believe it's on during the afternoon. This is great. Is this, legit happening right now?" I'm like, yeah, it's live. Don't you see it say live right there? So I'm really happy that they have that back on Saturdays. And, for a heavyweight matchup, it was a good fight to see on TV. But you're right. He's an awkward fighter, Tyson, that is. He's not as experienced as Cunningham by any means. Granted, Cunningham has been in there with a lot of cruiserweights most of his career. But you're right. I think he was exposed. And again, it's the inexperience of being in the ring and the way that he's been moved over in Europe. He's gonna face those idiosyncrasies of what we think are flaws, and I think he needs to push forward. But you're right, David Haye is going to kill him if he gets in the ring with him. Klitschko, I think we have a chess match, and we could be sitting there watching paint dry for 12 rounds. But with David Haye's going to come at him and try to knock him out, and I think he'd be really successful at it.
Yeah, I think what Cunningham showed us is that a guy that's got some footwork and some hand speed that can dart in and dart out is going to pose problems for Tyson Fury, and that's exactly what David Haye will do. As far as the Klitschkos, I think that their problem would be against Fury would only be one thing. If they've become proficient at fighting smaller guys, Tyson Fury is actually bigger than them, so that's the only reason why I give him, at least a chance to hang in there for a little bit. This week, we got a couple of good fights. I know you like Sergio Martinez. I'm going to use your term. I know you shot him a couple of times. I'll never forget you said something. You said one thing. I said, I need a headshot of you or something, Emily. And you said, oh, yeah, I forgot. I got to go home and shoot myself now. And I'm like, what? He's saying it on air. So people got to understand, when Emily says shoot, she means with the camera, okay? Especially.
I've had to clarify that in my photo classes these days, too. I'm like, I got to remember that we're going out to photograph and not shoot,
right.
And I'm writing in my plan book, shooting, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. I can't write this if somebody picks this up.
No, especially what's going on in the world today. But Sergio Martinez, Sergio Martinez and Martin Murray, this fight really isn't. I know a lot of people that are in the know about this fight, but to be honest with you, it's really not being promoted as much as I thought it was. As much as I thought it should. I mean, it's on HBO. I know it's in Argentina, but still, what's your thoughts on the fight? I mean, is this just a showcase for Sergio?
Yeah, I knew he was fighting. I knew that was coming up. And somebody said to me this weekend, "Oh, isn't that this weekend?" And I'm like, no. And they're like, "Yeah, it is." And I'm like, no. And then I realized, no, it's next weekend. But, it wasn't even in my mind because nobody's really talked about it. You're absolutely right. I feel like it's kind of like let me get back in the ring because I've been out, recovering from surgery and just kind of, got to get back in the mix to get myself ready for, an even bigger fight that's coming down the line. So, I figured they think it's going to sell itself in Argentina, which I'm sure it will. He's like a god over there, so they shouldn't have any problem, putting people in the seats. But in terms of television, yeah, nobody has really said, hey, HBO boxing this weekend. People are more talking about Danny Garcia and Zab Judah and Danny Jacobs. There isn't really too much mention of Sergio.
Well, on the other on the card, on the Sergio Martinez card, they're doing a dual location shoot again. Chris Arreola is finally getting in the ring. I shouldn't even say this because for all we know, it's going to get canceled between now and Saturday. But Bermain Stavern against Chris Arreola, it's kind of an important fight in the heavyweight division, so much so that these guys both have stayed out of the ring waiting to fight each other. It's an elimination bout. I like the fight. I've always had a soft spot for Chris Arreola, but Stavern is somebody that's not going to be an easy opponent. What's your thoughts on the fight? Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, I agree that they've been out for a long time, and it was kind of funny that things kept getting canceled, and, Stavern wasn't taking any other fights. This is what he wanted. So that, he's got it in his head that he's taken everything he possibly can out of this fight, and he's going to try to beat Chris Arreola. I can't blame him. But, Chris being out of the ring as long as he has, and, supposedly not being well, and that's why the fights weren't happening, has a lot to show. He has a lot to lose in this fight, so he really needs to put forth the best effort that he can. He can't dawdle around that ring, like some heavyweights do and give us a boring fight. He needs to go in there and get it done. And on either side, whatever guy walks away with the winner, hopefully it's going to be a good heavyweight matchup. People still talk about the heavyweights as being, the weight class to watch, and I don't really see that. I haven't seen any superstars come out of the heavyweight, even the amateurs, in a long time. So, we long for that good fight. And with Chris, I want to see him succeed. He's done well to get to where he is. He lost a lot of weight. He's in good shape, according to his crew. So I would like to see him come up on top, but it's going to be a tough fight. It's definitely not going to be a walkover by any means.
I agree. And I like that Brian Jennings, man. I want to see more of him. I know he's small, and I know he doesn't have a chance against Klitschko's, but I like what I see with that kid. I just there's something about him that I like. He's always in good shape. He comes out his opponents and everything else. But anyway, you mentioned Danny Garcia against Zab Judah. I love Danny Garcia. We've had him on the show many times, especially on his way up. Zab Judah, I was never a big fan of Zab Judah, and Zab Judah's talking, like he feels that this fight is going to make him a top pound-for-pound fighter. I think those days are long past for him, but I do think he's got a chance if he boxes smart against Danny Garcia. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, I agree. If Zab takes this lightly, Danny's going to destroy him. I think Danny, for a while, was a hidden commodity. A lot of people didn't know about him. He was a young fighter. He was moved maybe a little slower than most people wanted him to be, but that's part of boxing. You can't put a speed dial on your career. You got to kind of go with the way things fall into place. So this is a huge fight for Danny. We know it was supposed to happen earlier this year, and Danny took a lot of flack for not being able to fight in February. Due to an internal muscle pull, which, sounded like it was pretty painful based on what he was putting out there. So, I know he wants this fight. I know he wants this win, so it's coming to fight. But Zab, on the other hand, this could be it for Zab, and if Danny really destroys him, it's really going to be it for Zab. How old is he now? I know I'm 33. Zab is probably 5 or 6 years older than I am, and, it's time. He could do really well, in this business, doing a variety of other things. He's got great personality, but, I don't know how much left he has in his career.
Yeah, he just, You know, he's gonna Danny Garcia. I think the big test for Danny against Zab Judah is going to be, can he cut the ring off? Can he inflict his game on Zab Judah? Because I would think Zab is going to be smart and try to outbox him. I can't see Zab going into the wheelhouse of Danny Garcia and making it easy for him. So we'll have to wait and see. One last question. You mentioned Danny Jacobs, and I know Peter Quillen's fighting, and Fernando Guerrero. That ought to be a decent fight too. But Danny Jacobs is coming back. He got the clean bill of health after he visited his doctor recently, and it's a good story. My question is, when we saw him fight and he lost that fight on HBO, and then he got sick and all this stuff, and he's looked fantastic coming back against who they put him in with. Do you think he's legit? I mean, do you think it was the beginning of the illness that we witnessed when he lost, or was it just that next level of competition that maybe he's going to struggle with?
It's hard to tell. I mean, he had a pretty lucrative amateur career, so, you would hope that he still has that oomph in him and that we just didn't see it yet. He had cancer, so we don't know how long, before it, had been detected that it was affecting him, or, maybe the beginning stages of it were affecting him and he was just pushing through it, between mental and physical. God only knows, I never want to endear that, what that entails on your body before you know that you have it, and you just keep pushing through it. So I want to say that we saw, the effects of what he was dealing with from his illness before he had to take a leave. Because I really believe in this kid. I really want to see him do well. And I know his heart is bigger than anything I've ever seen, especially with what he's fought off. So I think we're going to see a great Danny Jacobs when he returns. But, I've been wrong in the past, but I'm hoping for him that he can really make it at this, because you can just see his passion.
Yeah, you love the feel-good stories, man. There's no question about it. Hey, one last thing before we let you go, Em. Where can we see you? What fights are you going to be covering next? Where are you going to be at? Do you know?
Oh, man. Well, I know for sure I'm going to be at Mohegan Sun May 18th for the return of Delvin Rodriguez, which was just announced yesterday, against Freddie Hernandez. And then definitely at Foxwoods June 29th for Golovkin, the HBO fight. And, before that, I'm not really sure if anything's coming up. I know there's talks of a fight in Rhode Island as well. So I got to see what's going on. But I'm jonesing to get back in there. I know I told you I was jonesing to get back on the radio. And we went strong January, February, through mid-March with fights up here. So I'm hoping that we get another kick like that, because I need to be back ringside before I freak out.
I hear you, and I love those are my two favorite places, Foxwoods and actually Mohegan Sun is my favorite to watch fights. Well, I might not be in the areas by the time they come out. And it's funny about the Foxwoods thing. Did you catch the big press release comes out? I'm not going to mention her name, but the person that controls all the press stuff sends it out. And I guess she wasn't supposed to, because then about an hour later, she's like, please, I want to recall that last email. Did you catch that?
I saw that.
That was funny.
I did see that. I'm like, whoops.
Yeah. She must have gotten the old scolding. I'm like, oh, man, that's got to suck, because, when you hit send, it's like it's gone.
Yep.
Whoops. That's not the one I wanted to send to Emily, but anyway.
I know.
Well, listen, man, it was great having you back. I look forward to next week, and actually I got to drop you an email about next week, but I look forward to having you back. You sound great, and I can't wait to see you again.
Thanks very much. It's great to be back on.
All right, Em, we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, take care. That's Emily Harney, boxing's best photographer, and glad to have her back. Man, she sounded great. I tell you the truth. One of the knocks on Emily in the past here on the show was that she was always so quiet, and people said, "Oh, I can hardly hear her. She's shy. She's this. She's that." But man, I didn't hear any of that just now. She was had some energy. She was not low. She wasn't speaking low, and it was great, man. I'm really looking forward to her insight, especially when she shoots. When she photos. Shoots. Takes pictures. Damn it. of the fights, and then get her opinion the next day, when we have her on after these fights. Now, she wasn't ringside for the Canelo Trout fight, but she will be for the Triple G fight. She just said the one that's going to be at Foxwood, so we'll be looking forward to that. As far as the Sergio Martinez fight, which is coming up this weekend, yeah, it's kind of strange, man. They sent us the media. They sent us a schedule for this week for that fight, and really they don't even have anything going on till tomorrow, which is the final press conference, which is all taking place in Argentina. Thursday they're going to have a conference call that's going to be international, and I wonder maybe one of our guys, I won't mention any names, but maybe Dax Khan will be in part of that. Friday's going to be the weigh-in, and then Saturday's the event. So, I mean, that's pretty much what's happening with the Sergio fight. It's like this. You wonder about some of these promoters, and although I think Lou DiBella has done a decent job with Sergio Martinez, I think a lot of it is because of Sergio Martinez, Remember, Lou, I'm not going to blame Lou for everything on Sergio, because Lou didn't have Sergio for his whole career. And since we've learned about Sergio Martinez, it has been under the guidance of Lou DiBella. So I'll give him that much. However, a lot of fighters, including Lou, a lot of promoters, including Lou and some other well-known promoters, don't really promote their fighters as much as they should. And here's a reason why, in my opinion. You get a deal like this with HBO. Sergio Martinez is on HBO, so they already have an infusion of money coming in. All right, HBO's paying for the fight. So now I don't know if that's going to pay for Sergio's person. I don't know what the financial terms are or anything. But a lot of times you'll see when you land on HBO or Showtime, the promoter will basically get his expenses covered from that TV deal, and he's able to pay his fighters and everything else, and then they don't give a crap. They made their money. How we're always picking on Floyd Mayweather for doing the least amount of risk for the maximum amount of reward. Well, the promoter's motto is the least amount of work for the maximum amount of cash. The bottom line is that they get that money and maybe they don't want to invest anymore. Maybe it costs some extra money to get Sergio, and I'm using him as an example because he has been on covers of magazines and stuff. But to get the word out there a little more about him. But hey, that's what it's all about, I guess. Don King, we talked about this yesterday. Defaulted again. I'm bringing it up again because I wanted to reiterate something I said yesterday. This is the second or actually third purse that he's defaulted on, basically overbidding for fights. And this one was actually pretty obscure because it was the Marco Captain Huck and Ola Afolobi fight that was actually the third fight between the two. And Don King has no connection with either one of those two fighters. And his cruiserweight, which is Guillermo Jones, is actually fighting Denis Ledebev, which is a fight that he will be involved in the promotion. But that fight's in Russia, so it was kind of strange. The reasons for him defaulting was he couldn't find a TV deal, which we knew when he won the bid that Sauerland and Klitschko brothers pretty much have all the TV deals locked up in Germany, so he wasn't going to get a TV deal. Bottom line is he overbid more than $500,000 more, and he walked away from it. Sauerland got the bid now. It's his fight, and it's his fighters, so it makes more sense. But here's my point that I wanted to bring up. It's sad, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people won't feel this way because no one really likes him, But I think that Don King, despite some of the negatives and some of the things he's done in the past and some of the stories about him ripping off fighters and everything else, despite all of that, and I've said this many times, I think the man was a great promoter, and I think that when it's all said and done, he's going to be looked upon as boxing's greatest promoter. He and Bob Arum actually. And you kind of got to give it a little edge at this stage of the game to Bob Arum because he's still a major player. But both of these guys have been, at the top of their game, top of their sport for 40, 45 years. I mean, it's amazing to see it like that. And there has been no one in any sport that has dominated their field of play as much as these two guys have. And when all is said and done, hopefully they'll get rewarded for that at some point, at least the recognition. The sad part about Don King, which is not going to be the same thing with Top Rank. Top Rank has an organization that is still very viable. It's thriving, and it's going to continue after Bob Arum is not working the company anymore. Don King is the company. When Don King decides to hang it up, it's over for Don King Promotions. And the sad part that I'm having a hard time with is that, and it's kind of ironic, is that, when we see a fighter that hangs on too long, and we see this fighter and we see him putting himself in harm's way, a lot of people are associating that right now with Roy Jones Jr., a guy arguably one of the best fighters pound for pound ever, a fighter that a lot of us that are watching the sport now watched his whole career, and a fighter who's clearly not the same as he used to be. And we see him fight, and we say the same things. Oh, what's he doing? Why is he still fighting and all this stuff? We know what's going to happen. He's going to get hurt. He's fighting guys like Ledebev who, take his head off and all these things. And we saw a lot of these great fighters fight that one last fight. I mean, the Muhammad Ali against Holmes, and even worse against Trevor Berbick in the Bahamas. I mean, or Jamaica, wherever that fight was. And I mean, it was just this thing about boxing, pushing the envelope too long, fighting that one last fight too much. That's why I respect guys like Lennox Lewis who walked away, Rocky Marciano who walked away, even Joe Calzaghe, who all walked away on top. Don King is suffering the same fate as the fighters that many people think he took advantage of. Don King is hanging on too long. Don King is pushing the envelope. He's fighting when he's getting beaten up too much, and it's fitting that it happens that way. But it's still sad, at least to me. And I hope that he sees it, and I hope the competitiveness of Don King releases it and officially walks away from it, and can look at it from a distance rather than try to hang on and still be that player that he's hoping he can get one more big event in. And the business has changed. It's pretty much controlled by Top Rank and Golden Boy now, and it's just a shame. And it's the way I look at it. I know people disagree with me, but I think when all's said and done, everyone in the sport of boxing is going to admit that Don King was actually the best. This guy could get you to buy a ticket to watching blades of grass grow and make you feel if you don't get a ringside seat to it, you're really missing out. That's a promoter.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing
with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway. Up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights up a silhouette. He's just a butter net. Coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. All the information about the channel can be found on our website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of Fight Now, we will be doing a special shows all next week. We were promoting the fact that we were going to do the Billy C. Mayweather-Guerrero Fight Week show, which was going to be a separate show that we were going to air every day. But we will be airing this show, and we'll be wrapping it around the Mayweather and Guerrero fight all next week, except here's the catch. We're going to be broadcasting from 5 to 7 p.m. From 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on BillyCBoxing.com and Fight Now television. So make sure you mark it down. This is going to be great news for people that are normally watching the show either on the replays on LDL TV or on YouTube or wherever. Now you can watch the show live, and the reason why I want you to watch it live next week is because not only are we going to have a great group of guests coming in, we're going to have a whole week of special guests that are going to be joining us live, but we're going to be able to open up the phone lines the way we do on the Talk to Me Man show, which incidentally, we are going to have a Talk to Me Man show on Monday. So we got all kinds of confusion going on. We are going to have a Talk to Me Man show on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But then the shows are going to be airing later in that day, so we'll keep you posted on that. The best thing to do is always look on the coming up this week section of Billy C Boxing. But anyway, the phone lines will be open, so make sure you mark it down and be part of the show next week because we want you to call in, we want you to get in the chat room and all that happy stuff. So we're looking forward to that. I was talking to Emily a few minutes ago about Danny Jacobs. And, just to reiterate, we did get notice that he's got a clean bill of health, meaning he's cancer-free going into his fight this weekend in Brooklyn. He's going to be on the undercard, and he's going to be coming back. This is actually the first fight in several years that he's going to be going in against Keenan Collins, which is not a bad little test to see where he's at. First clean bill of health in several years, so I'm sure he can focus solely on his boxing career. Our poll question this week is: do you think that professional athletes, and of course we're dealing with boxing, but really I left that question open. But do you think professional athletes, specifically boxers, for this question, should be allowed to compete in the Olympics? Not just go from the amateur level, and then turn pro and then never to be able to compete in the Olympics again. Do you think that professional boxers should be allowed to pursue a professional career and then put it on hold and compete in the Olympics? Vladimir Klitschko is trying to do just that. He wants to compete in the 2016 Olympics. One of his goals is to obtain another gold medal. I'm wondering if the parameters with that will be that he has to retire from professional boxing and then, get reinstated as an amateur. I mean, can he just, just fight on the Olympics? I mean, I don't know what the rules are. But me personally, I feel that why not? Other countries, back in the 70s and 60s and 70s and even 80s, when we were doing a lot of competition in the Olympics against Russia, I'll never forget watching, like their winter athletes and stuff like that. I mean, that was their profession. That's what they did all year long. And then we have what we call amateurs going in, people that aren't getting paid to ski or do stuff, but they make money other places. Now we've kind of, bent the rules a little bit. Hockey players get to play, basketball players, professional get to play. Why not boxers? So cast your vote. What do you think? The poll question's up on BillyCBoxing.com right now. So cast your vote. Yes, we are experiencing, I don't want to jinx it, but no issues with the stream, the old stream that we were having some issues with. And the new stream that we're trying to incorporate has been nothing but problems. So we actually have both of them going right now. Only one is working, the old one. So that's good news. So, hey, maybe they had a problem that they fixed. I don't know. You heard Emily burst my bubble here with the Delvin Rodriguez fight, but it was announced yesterday, Delvin Rodriguez going up against Freddie Hernandez. It's taking place May 24th at Mohegan Sun, one of my favorite places to watch the fights. I like Delvin Rodriguez. I'm not so sure if I like this particular matchup. It's a typical showcase fight for Delvin Rodriguez and Star Boxing. I like that it's on ESPN. I love the venue. All those things. So we'll have to wait and see what the undercard is. That has not been announced. But I will tell you this. Delvin Rodriguez is never a layup. His fights are never layups, even though he's, supposed to win. If he's supposed to win and he wins, great. If he's supposed to win and he loses, you say, what happened? If he's supposed to outbox, next thing you know, he's slugging it. If he's slugging it, next thing you know, he's boxing. I mean, he really leaves you on the edge of your seat wondering what the hell he's going to do. And for that, I think he's worth the price of admission. Yesterday, I was complaining about Lee Purdy, who was the guy who was announced as being the opponent for Devon Alexander. Lee Purdy was replacing, Kell Brook, who injured himself, and then Kevin Bizier was the guy that everybody wanted to see Alexander get replaced with, but he turned the fight down. His trainer was not going to be able to be with him, so they turned it down. And then they picked Lee Purdy, and I was talking about this yesterday. Lee Purdy happens to be ranked in the sanctioning body that Devon Alexander holds a belt to, and that's the IBF. And Lee Purdy is ranked number 4. But you know what? He's not ranked in anyone else's top 15. He's not in our top 20. Lee Purdy is not a championship fighter, a championship caliber fighter. Devon Alexander has a lot to prove still. This is not the same Devon Alexander that everybody thought was great when he was a junior welterweight. This is Devon Alexander who people are labeling as a boring fighter and he's not living up to what he should and blah, 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 blah. They needed to put him in a little tougher than Lee Purdy. This is terrible. I really think it's terrible. I look at him and I see some other fighters that I think would have made a better fight and would have been more interesting. Devon Alexander against Ruslan Prodagnikov. What's wrong with that one? Are we saving Prodagnikov for a rematch with Bradley? Is he not able to fight? Is there a reason? Is he still hurt? Are they keeping him out? I mean, why isn't his name mentioned? How about Victor Ortiz? Victor Ortiz is a guy that was on Dancing with the Stars. He looks snazzy and stuff, but he's got 2 left feet, and he said in an interview recently that he's aching to get back in the ring, and I think he does have to get back in the ring. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions about Victor Ortiz, whether he's even got the fight left in him or anything. So I mean, what's wrong with him against Devon Alexander, or even Andre Berto against Devon Alexander, or Keith Thurman? Or how about Mike Jones? I mean, I just named all of those names that would make a much better fight than Lee Purdy. I mean, what is this showing us? I mean, as boxing fans, and especially boxing fans who have to make sure we buy the special cable channels like HBO and Showtime to catch these fights, or worse, we have to buy a pay-per-view to catch these fights. And then the promoters have the balls to put these guys in that are pounding their chests and parading around a championship belt. I am the world welterweight champion. Yeah. You're one of 5, you're one of 10, you're one of 20 welterweight world champions. But after all is said and done, put him in with a quality fighter. They put him in with Lee Purdy. No disrespect to Lee Purdy. Lee Purdy will kick my ass all day long. But I'm not a fighter. I'm a fat old Italian balding guy. So I mean, come on, man. I just think it's ridiculous. I just don't get it. I mean, boxing is in a resurgence. Yeah, I know. We were talking about emails yesterday, and we had some new listeners and stuff saying, that we're in a resurgence. They agree with me, blah, blah, blah. But, man, here we are. We got this momentum. Thank God to the terrible economy, because usually if you go through the history of boxing, you'll see when when the economies are at their worst, boxing's at its best. So thank God for that. Thank God for Golden Boy cutting the TV deals that they have. I mean, let's give credit to Golden Boy. A lot of people don't like Golden Boy, but hey, you got to give them credit. They got the deals in place. They got television deals in place for the big fights and for the small fights. The problem that Golden Boy's doing is the Devon Alexander fight and Lee Purdy. Here's the thing. We're almost there. We got it back on TV. We got some interest going along with boxing. We got all of this stuff. We got some talented fighters out there. These guys that we're naming, the Devon Alexanders, the Timothy Bradleys, the Floyd Mayweathers, the Victor Ortiz, Manny Pacquiao, the heavyweights that we got, a couple of heavyweights we're keeping our eyes on. I mean, there are some talented fighters out there. The problem is that they don't fight each other, and we put them in mismatches. And if these powers that be, if these Golden Boy and the television networks and all these people that approve these matchups, if they don't watch themselves, we're going to sink just the way we did in the 90s. And that's what's going to happen, man. And fights like this, Lee Purdy against Devon Alexander. You can complain about Kell Brook all you want, and that's a justifiable complaint, because Kell Brook is backed out of this fight now twice. So it's obvious that, Kell Brook doesn't want that fight, or whatever the case is. But the bottom line is you can't replace Kell Brook, who's a top 10 fighter in most rankings. You can't replace Kell Brook with Lee Purdy, who's not even making the top 15 of anyone's list. He's not even in our top 20, and we're non-biased with our list. So, come on, man. Let's not regress here. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That's just my thought. Some quotes yesterday from the open work. Actually, it was from last week, but they were released yesterday. Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Floyd Mayweather had a couple of quotes. It's all BS, especially the stuff that came out of Mayweather's mouth, But some of the things that bother me, I like when he says, he was talking, decently about Robert the Ghost Guerrero, giving him some credit and stuff. But I can't stand when he says something like, and I quote, being a boxing legend, wanting your name mentioned in the mix of other fighters' names. That's why I work so hard right now. I've been fighting since '87. I've been a professional for 17 years. I've been dedicated to my craft. I don't think any layoff will affect me. Blah blah blah. If he would have removed that first line that says being a legend, if he just would have said something like, if I want my name being mentioned in the mix of other fighters' names, blah, 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 ... This is a guy that has already put his own name in his mind. He's the greatest fighter. Now, some people could argue with me and say, well, you need to think that way if you want to be successful and stuff like that. You know what? Let other people say that about you. One of the biggest knocks on Roy Jones Jr. and most of the people that can't stand it is when he talks about himself in the third person. People can't stand it. And, whether you like Floyd or not, I don't like Floyd for other reasons. But I don't want other people. If people are going to dislike him because of the same reasons I do, I can relate to it. But I don't want them to dislike him for something that really it's just a simple mistake that he's making, so whatever. I'll tell you the truth. I don't care if you like him or not. Robert the Ghost Guerrero, on the other hand, he says some stuff, and I like this quote from him. He says, when you're fighting Floyd Mayweather, you got to be ready to do everything. People say you need to come in there with a game plan A, B, and C, but with Floyd, you need an A to Z game plan, which is pretty smart that they're thinking ahead that much. He says you got to be ready for whatever, because Floyd is the type of guy that makes adjustments here and there and makes it tough for fighters to get in there with him. You got to be ready to make those adjustments. We've been practicing a lot of stuff. Our game plan is to go out there and be 100% ready and able to make those adjustments. Throughout my career, everybody has seen that I've been able to make adjustments. And, the reason why I pick out that statement of his is because it's actually the one I agree with the most. And, it's funny, a few weeks back, I forget who was saying it, but somebody said, I don't know if it was an email or we had a guest on or what have you, and they were saying, the problem with Robert Ghost Guerrero is he's one-dimensional. He's a one-dimensional fighter. He does the same thing over and over. And I'm saying to myself, are we talking about the same Robert Ghost Guerrero? Because one of the things that I, give him his slight chance of winning is the fact that he is multidimensional. I've seen him fight many different styles, Robert Ghost Guerrero. I will admit that the Dodd Yordan fight, after that fight, I was totally anti Robert Ghost Guerrero. I thought he kind of quit that night. He got a cut. It wasn't even that bad. It wasn't bleeding that bad. He couldn't see. They stopped the fight. No contest. We all know the story. Since then, he's been nothing less than spectacular. I mean, he's come back. He's moved up several weight classes. He's been dominating. His fight against Berto was downright, exciting. He showed some chin in that one, man, and he showed the ability. He showed the strength of his corner, how they make these adjustments he's referring to, and that fight really catapulted him, despite the campaign that they had going on about his whole. He should get a Money Mayweather fight and all of that stuff. But he really solidified his chances then after the Andre Berto fight. So, a couple of things real quick. The Billy C Challenge. We are in full swing. We are in April, and we're getting towards the end of April already. As a matter of fact, this weekend will be the end of April for the challenge. We have not posted any of the statistics up there. We're going to try to get them up there today. We've been backlogged because of the trips that we had last week, so I apologize for that. We did announce the winner of March, and March's winner was Ryan Kinzit out of the UK. So congratulations. He took one of the collector's koozies from Sal Sinacola's restaurant. He told me that he had to look up what a koozie was. Didn't even know what a koozie was. So congratulations to him. You will be able to visit the website, www.billycboxing.com, and see whether you stand if you're part of the challenge. If you want to become part of the challenge, it's very simple. Just email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and we'll add you to the mix. There were some people that were involved with the challenge that are no longer involved with the challenge. We only want serious people only, people that are going to make the plays every week, because it just makes it more interesting. And when people aren't even picking and they're getting zeros averaged in, and they're just, their interest is gone, they're at the bottom of the pack, it's just not worth it for all of us. So the competition is tough. It's anybody's game. All you need to do is get 20 fights under your belt. This week we're probably going to have 10. We got the big fight: Sergio Martinez, Martin Murray, Luis Abregu against Anton Di Cari, Chris Arreola against Bermain Stavern, Danny Garcia, Zab Judah, Peter Quinlan, Fernando Guerrero, Amir Khan against Julio the Kid Diaz, Raimundo Beltran against Alejandro Rodriguez. We may throw in the James Toney fight. Probably Johnny Gonzalez is returning. I don't know if his fight will be on there. So we'll be looking to do that one. As far as Deontay Wilder is fighting Audley Harrison. He's on the Amir Khan, Julio Kid Diaz card. And also there's another event in England at York Hall we may throw a fight on. So we got a bunch of fights that we're going to be contemplating putting on our challenge. So this week it's going to be a tough one to close out April. And we've been trying to keep it tough all year with the challenge. So make sure you get involved with that if you're interested. Again, I want to point out, programming note, for all the podcasters, all the live viewers, all the live listeners, and, of course, the replay watchers, you guys on YouTube and also LDL TV. Next week, we will be airing our show live from 5:30. From 5 to 7, from 5 a.m. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Now, Fight Now will be broadcasting us live next week from 5:30 to 7. So we will be live from 5 to 7 p.m. next week. Fight Now will take us for their normal 90 minutes. We're going to focus on Fight Week next week. Floyd Mayweather against Robert Ghost Guerrero. We got a whole bunch of guests lined up. We're going to have a lot of interaction for you guys. We're going to be giving prizes away, all that happy stuff. So mark it down next week to tune in live on Fight Now TV or right here on BillyCBoxing.com and be part of the show all next week from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll be doing the show 5 to 7 p.m. next week, and we're trying to shoot for changing our air time. So hopefully maybe that's it, or maybe 8 to 10 or something like that. But we will keep you posted on all of that. And some other good news that I'm hoping to spill before the end of the week. So we'll keep you posted on all of that. But now,
wake up. It's time for the It's Too Early for a Trivia Question.
All right, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Check them out. You can get to their website by visiting ours, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason's Gym banners. Or you can call them direct, man, 718-797-2872. 718-797-2872. Gleason's Gym. They got locations in Brooklyn. They got locations in Manhattan. They got a location on the Jersey Shore. So give them a call. Mention Billy C. If you're going to buy a T-shirt, you're going to buy a hat. If you're going to sign up for a boxing class, if you're going to sign up for a membership, mention Billy C. Demand a Billy C. discount. Call them right now, 718-797-2872. Don't forget, we got the Boxing Fantasy Camp going on in August 22nd through the 25th. It's at a resort in the Catskills. You know you regretted not signing up last year. Now's your chance. Sign up. Bring the whole family. You go through the rigmarole of training like a boxer. You end the whole process with a boxing event. The resort is great. The family can hang out at the pool and do all the other great things at the resort in the Catskills. Sign up today. Mention Billy C. Get a discount. Email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and we'll hook Dax up with you, and he'll do a story about your whole experience at Gleason's Fantasy Boxing Camp. So sign up right now. Gleason, 718-797-2872. Make sure you tell him Billy C. sent you. Okay, today's trivia question is being supplied to us by our very own trivia question guru, and that is Henry Haskip. I want to give away this last collector's edition Sal Senecola koozie. It's from Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria. He gave this to me personally to give away to you guys. And what I like about this koozie is every time I look at it, it reminds me of how great the food is at Sal's place. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not just saying this. And if you haven't seen Sal Senecola's record-breaking fight, it's up on our YouTube page, www.youtube.com/BillyCBoxing, or you could just get to it by visiting our site. All of the fights on that card were great. So if you get a minute, watch them. The question is, what former world champion suffered the most consecutive knockout or TKO defeats? What world champion suffered the most knockout or TKO defeats? Now, I gave you guys a big hint yesterday, and I told you that this was a former world light heavyweight champion. So The question is, and the first person to email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, will get that koozie, but you got to email me there. What former world light heavyweight champion suffered the most consecutive knockout or technical knockout defeats? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and if you're the first one, you get the prize. So what former world light heavyweight champion suffered the most consecutive knockout or technical knockout defeats? Email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Don't forget about our poll question. It's up on Billy C. Boxing right now. Check it out. Do you think pro athletes should be allowed in the Olympics? What do you think? I voted yes. Last time I looked, it was 100% people say yes. So if you didn't get a chance to vote, it was up late yesterday afternoon. Go up there and vote now. I love those poll questions.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. On this day, April 23rd in 1907, Mike Twin Sullivan wins a 20-round decision over Honey Melody to win the California World Welterweight title, and that took place on this day, April 23rd, 1907, in Los Angeles, California. Now, just a quick note here. You know, we complain about all the belts and stuff today, but even back then, over 100 years ago, there was a movement to get other belts, and the states all started to supply their own world title, as well as, Australia had a world title. Pennsylvania had a world title. New York had a world title, and so did California. They were recognized as such. And then shortly afterwards, another decade went by or so, and they had, basically one world title until that split up along the way, too. So, yeah, we've always had a little discrepancies with titles. But anyway, that's what happened on this day in 1907. Don't forget to cast your vote on the poll question. Oh, yeah, I do have one other thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, a Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel line. If it's that simple, pick up the phone and call. For all the information about the channel, you can visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.